Well, good morning, Mambo. Thought I would go for a walk this morning. I got nothing else to do out of that. Through you, there's a tower just right over here by me. So if it continues to buffer, maybe I'll just go through YouTube or something. But this is the one that I used to use all the time. I don't use Live now. I haven't used that one in a long time. Hopefully I won't buffer too much. Or I'll just restart the stream and maybe it will be better through YouTube. Here's the back, good. It really surprises me that it's buffering, because just right over there is a tower. And we have towers all over this city anyway, so you would think no matter where I go, I'd have a good signal. I go through Comcast, our cable provider, and they use Verizon towers. It should be in 1080p since I'm using Prism. And as you know, we live by a cemetery. Debbie does have a family member of hers that I know of that's in that cemetery, and I don't even think he has a tombstone, but I remember being one of his pallbearers. Now when I get up here to the cross street, I'm gonna take a left. We'll walk past my high school where my son works, and then we'll walk past where my job was. Where I'll walk to. But this street's a pretty long street. There's actually some of the trees are budding. You can see, I don't know if you can see the buds on them, but fix that fence as much as money to. But I must have hit a dead spot back there. Hopefully I'm not buffering anymore. I was actually going to go live on Facebook, but I don't know how to do it. So I didn't see anything on there that showed live. So I just didn't do it. I guess I'll have to sit at home and try and figure it out. But right there is where my old high school is. They're actually in the process of getting a new stadium at their football field. I'm sorry, I'm actually heading north now, which is where the wind's coming from. Museum seating. I think for all that down, because that's actually the visitor side. I don't know if they're going to replace that, but this side over here was the home side, and that's where the concession stand was, and the restrooms, of course. But they dug out further over, so I think they're going to make it bigger than what it was. But they had got a grant a few years ago to remodel the schools, the two high schools that we have. And they actually tore the other one down and totally redid it, redid the football field. And then the only thing that this got was upgrades of the building, which they did a fantastic job with it. They really changed the inside of it from when I went there. And they made it more kind of industrial look, and they now kind of treat like a little bit of a college. They kind of give people a community college feel. Cool. So that way it gets you used to going to college and stuff like that. That's where my son works. We got crows up there. There you go, Drew. There's about 3 crows up there for you. So hopefully the video is still going pretty good, that I'm not buffering. I'm actually trying to perfect my logo. I'm gonna make it a little different, and I want to start getting merchandise going, because I really would like to get this channel going a lot better than what I have. And my last video, there wasn't too many views on it yet, and which really surprised me, because usually I get around 15 views, and I think there was like maybe 2 or 4, but I'll give it time. And this is a new place here, and they sell all kinds of seafood stuff. I heard it's really good. They got one on the east end of town, and they put one over here. They totally remodeled this building. It used to be a pizza place, but long before it was a pizza place, it was a gas station a long time ago, and then it was a pizza place for a while. I went to school with the guy, hello Lynn, that had the pizza place, but now it's a seafood place, and I heard they got really good food. So we're gonna walk down this street here, and we're gonna walk past where my job was. This street actually used to be really, really busy. Aren't those things neat? My wife wants one of those, but I don't know where people are getting them from. My brother has one in his yard too. Yeah, little killer. I'm really surprised that the school hasn't bought up all these houses on the corner here and made their area this whole corner. But I think they need to take this grassy area up here and turn that into a parking lot as well, instead of just leaving it the way it is. Because when they have big events here, they have a hard time finding places for people to park. Ask your brother where he got it. Where? I don't understand the question. Oh, now I know. Duh. Yeah, I probably should. I really don't talk to him much, so. Yeah, the Big Daisy. Yeah, I had a brain fart there, sorry. Anyway, my job was right there, so I was only 10 blocks away from my job. That did us all dirty. Now we have a class action suit against them. Because they violated so many laws on getting rid of their workforce, and now they're being sued. So but yeah, see, that their part is new, that part's new. I think the blue part's new, and then of course that part up there is new. And yeah, they spent a lot of money remodeling this school, and they started it right when my kids got into high school. I think they got to go in this building 1 year, and then they closed it down to remodel it, and they had to go back to another school where they went to junior high at, which used to be a high school, and then they closed that down from being a high school because we had 4 high schools here. They closed one down. One of the high schools is actually a Catholic school, and then now we just got 2 big main high schools. Well, they think we have a good case against them because they had violated the WARN Act, and they were supposed to give a certain amount of time before they got rid of their workforce, instead of just saying, well, sorry, you lost your job, we're closing the doors and goodbye. So yeah, so actually one of my ex-bosses is there, and I don't know who else is there, and they haven't even really shut the boilers down, and I don't understand why they haven't done that yet, because they really should be shutting the boilers down. Yeah, they really do. They need to take this area right here, and they need to turn that into parking. So when they have these basketball or volleyball events, they have places for people to park. Because they had a sports event last night, and they were packed. So yeah, that's where I worked at, and And they just built this like 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. They just built this. They bought all this land, and because the facility wasn't really that big. And we were actually the mothership to this business, and the corporate offices were up by Chicago, but we were the mothership. And then they had other places in New Jersey, and oh, I can't think of where else, but yeah, they had a few other places throughout the country. So yeah, here's where I worked. I actually grew up in this neighborhood. We'll walk over to where my house used to be. So actually, for where this right to here down was where how big this building was. And then the rest of it, there used to be a church standing where the other building is, and a few other businesses. And then they bought all that up, and then extended office space and labs and stuff like that. But one of my jobs was to clean up all the garbage, which, yeah, no snow. It's about 52 degrees, maybe. It was 50 when I left, so it might be a little warmer. We're supposed to get to 62 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course, they're claiming next week we're supposed to get some snow, but I don't know if that will happen. And this whole area has changed because this hasn't always been here. There used to be buildings lined up right here in like an L shape. And just on the other side of this building, there was a restaurant called Nino's. And it was a pretty popular restaurant. And of course, that's all different over there. That was my old grade school where my son worked at one time until they closed down and moved out of there to another building. But they're going to take that grade school and they're going to turn it into an elderly apartment building. But when I was in kindergarten, that building right there where it's fallen, the side's fallen off, that was where the cafeteria was, and they were building that when I was in kindergarten. This place here, this is called Colonial Mall, and before this store was here, this was all one shopping mall, or shopping. It was called Tolly's, and it's where we would go and shop for our food and stuff like that. Well, hello, Margie. But this is my old stomping grounds. It's where I grew up. And actually, where that business is right there, that's where, well, actually just left of that, that's where Debbie's house was. And where the business is, that's where her yard was. So, and just on the other side of those bushes, where you see that building, their parking lot is where my house was. So this shows you how long my wife and I have known each other. Yeah, we went to grade school together, and then after grade school, her mom met another guy and moved out of town, and she was going to school in a small town, and then they came back to Decatur when high school started. But yeah, this is all different now. So yeah, this used to be a grocery store, and then they had all kinds of other stores in here, and these have changed throughout, I don't know how, over the years they've all have evolved to different stores. But just on the other side of these trees that are kind of slowly dying, was where my house was. Actually, one of the houses on this street.
What are you taking pictures for?
I'm live on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was going to borrow some of your pictures.
Yeah.
I got to go around and take all these pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, there's Kreckles. That's one of the best hamburgers you could ever have in this town is Kreckles. And we call them sliders because they're very greasy, because they use 70-30 hamburger, and they flatten it as flat as they could get it, and they are delicious. But yeah, this was my front yard right here, and my house stood right there where that car is. And if I can ever find some pictures of that house, if I have any, I'll post them on Facebook. But yeah, there was all kinds of houses along in here, and then we'll walk up here to the other corner, and I'll show you where I lived for I think 8 years. It was the second house that I lived in this town. So about 40 years ago, they had closed this street down and totally redid it. And we used to stand out there in our front yard and watch them working on the road. But this corner lot right here, vacant lot, this is where my other house I lived in. So this is where I lived when me and Debbie first started playing. So this is where my house used to be, right here. And I lived here for 8 years during grade school and junior high. And then when I went to high school, we moved down there at the other corner next to the parking lot. So hopefully anybody that's got dogs around here, they got them tied up, because I don't feel like having to beat the shit out of them with my gimbal. But Debbie and I actually, and I'll walk past it, we after we got married, we moved into a house down the road here, and that's where the boys' first house was. And we lived there for, I don't know, how long do you think, Debbie? About 4 or 6 years we lived in that house. Or not even that. And then we moved over on the east end of town, and we lived there for about 14 years, and then moved into the house that we have now, which is back in this area. But most of the people, if not all, that lived in this neighborhood are now gone. They moved away or died or whatever. So it's all pretty much new people living in these homes. But after we moved out of this house down here, her brother moved in, and he lived here for a long time. And I think the owner was going to sell it, and they had to move out. So so they bought a house not too far from here, and there's somebody else living in that. And if you go through there, there's another cemetery there. So we went from living by one cemetery to living by another one. But when we lived in this house up here, that's when I was working at a company called Mueller, And I didn't work for them, I worked for another company, but I was working there, and we had a tornado came through here, and it was real close to our house. It actually destroyed a lot of houses in the area, and went through, well, close to the cemetery. And so just right up here, actually that house right there with the brown roof, that's where we were living for about 4 years. And that's where the boys' first house was. And then her brother moved in there for a while. It's a really dinky house. I mean, it's a dinky house. And when we left and we came back to visit her brother, I didn't realize how small that house was until we came and visited him. I was like, good Lord. But yeah, we were living there for about 4 years. But this is all my old stomping grounds. And then that house right there is where her grandmother lived for a lot of years until she died. And then her mother sold that house, and the people that own it now have a lot of vehicles. But we'll come back, we'll go up this street. But if you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm on there under John McKee. I think I have my John McKee's World as my avatar, because for some reason they wouldn't let me use my YouTube channel name, so I just had to use my name, even though I was trying to make it a business. But I did gain 3 subscribers, which is great. And thank you for subscribing. I'm trying to hit that 1,000 mark this year. I hope I do. I'm trying to pump them out as best I can. And I got to find another coffee to do. Yeah, some of them are nice, some of them are falling apart. And of course, there's this building right here used to be a Foot Doctor building, and Acorn bought it up, of course, and they were going to tear it down, and the company was going to do it, told them it was going to cost a lot of money to do it, and they said no. So they had decided to turn it into their training center, and they had it remodeled, put a new roof on it, all kinds of different things, and turn it into their training center. So this was actually the training center for all of Acorn, even the ones out of state. So they would have had to come here to train. But the thing is, they never got the aseptic part of it going all the way, and they were dragging their tail on it. So yeah, I put that sign back up there, and see, now they got trash all over the place, so oh well. Well, here it was over 400 people, but company-wide, I'm gonna say it was probably well over 1,000 people. So they violated so many laws, and that's what they're getting pretty much sued for, because they didn't do the WARN Act like they were supposed to. They tried to get around it just like everything else. And then we just pretty much went around a huge block and back to the high school. Yeah, this street used to be busy all the time, and I would say probably after COVID is when it kind of started slowing down. Yes, it's the second one. They did a chapter 11 before this, and since they already did that, they had to do a chapter 7 bankruptcy. But hopefully the lawyers for Acorn will, or for the people, will do a hell of a job and make Acorn pay for what they did to us. But I think it just, this didn't just go news here. I think it went throughout the country. And because we were a pretty big pharmaceutical company, and we made a lot of stuff that were put in stores, they were put in hospitals. And if you've seen that diabetic Tussin out there, that was done by Acorn. If you saw TheraTears, that was done by Acorn. Yes, it was. And then they did a lot of injectables, dye injectable stuff for the hospitals, and a bunch of other stuff that I couldn't even begin to tell you the names of them. At 11 o'clock. I wonder if 11 o'clock signifies the first lunch period. And as you see, there's the baseball field, and it got kind of a little bit of an upgrade. But that building right there, that's new. That's a new gym. And then they actually added this stuff right here. And they really made it a lot nicer and bigger than when me and Debbie went there, which I was kind of quite jealous. And their cafeteria is more in an open area than in a room. And they put it in a spot where the office personnel can keep an eye on them, as well as any other staff member. Let's see, this building right here, this used to be a Burger King at one time, and now it's kind of a little convenience store. I've tried their chicken, but their chicken was a little too spicy for my taste. And this always puzzled me, this part right here, that's how they didn't merge it into that road. It just stops But we got robins now because they think it's spring, which is kind of nice because we get to hear them singing their song. So I found out how this thing kept moving on its own, and apparently I had set it to where if I pulled the trigger on here, it goes into follow mode. And I think what it was doing was trying to find me, and but I figured it out and I turned it off, and now it doesn't do that. But I was gonna go Facebook Live and I couldn't figure it out. So I just said, screw it, I'll just go on YouTube and go live on that. And I'll have to sit there on Facebook and play around with it and figure out how to go live on that. The robins, Minnesota Police, although we are only on our, yeah. Well, they're claiming it's gonna get a little cold and we're gonna get some snow, which I hope we don't. I'm sick of cold weather. I want the heat back. Even though my wife doesn't want the heat back, but I want the heat back. Now there's another spot right up here. I don't know what originally was sitting here in this spot, but if you turn up here, there's a staircase that takes you to the school. So people that live over here, they can just kind of cut through here. Yeah, I don't know what was originally here, if anything. And then there's a staircase right there that takes you over to the school. And this is kind of a quiet neighborhood here, but once it warms up, people will start raking and mowing and getting their yards all cleaned up. But some of the trees are already starting to bud, which is a bad thing, because if it gets real cold again, it's going to kill them. I think that's what happened to my Japanese or Chinese maple, whatever the thing is. It budded out and then it got real cold and killed it. But I do have quite a bit of money in my 401k, and I'm thinking about cashing it in, even though everybody says, oh, don't do that because you'll owe a lot of taxes. Well, duh. You just take out for what, 10% of that will go for taxes. So you just take out 10%, hold it back for the next tax year. And I was gonna take some of that, put it towards the principal of my house and knock it back down to it was before I refinanced. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pay off everything before all the loans that I do have, everything's gonna get paid off. So I don't have to worry about that stuff. All I'll have to worry about is my current bills and my house payment. The way the economy is going here, what's the point of keeping it in there when I was losing money anyway, because I was at minus 8.some%. So I had close to $50,000 in there, and I lost close to $30,000 thanks to our wonderful senile president. Hopefully at the next elections we'll get rid of the Democrats out there again. I think Trump's going to win it again, and if he doesn't, they'll fix it to try to get him not to win, just like they did last time. But I think there's even some Democratic voters that are even kind of tired of the old senile Joe. And because the economy went to crap in this country, and they know it. Oh, that sucks. So, what's the point of saving for the future when you got the economy in this country that takes it away from you anyway, and they want to keep raising the age of retirement and raising it, and it doesn't do any good to wait till you're 67, because you're still going to get the same amount. I mean, you'll get a little bit more monthly, but you're still going to get the same amount in total if you go early at 62. So I got 8 more years to go, and I'm retiring at 62. I'm tired of working, and maybe I'll just get a part-time job. Maybe I can get my YouTube going full-time and start making more money of that, but I got to find something more interesting for everybody to watch. I'll figure it out yet. The MAGA dude. Yeah, I think Trump was doing a hell of a job, and they don't understand that he would say the stuff that he did just to set them off on purpose, and you know, everything he would say just worked, and they didn't get it. So, and he's still winning. He's going around the country and still doing his speeches, and went off to Ohio, and I've seen a thing on YouTube that talked about why the president didn't go to Ohio. It's because it's basically a Republican state, and he wasn't worried about them. So why should a Democratic president worry about Republicans? Oh, wow. Good for you. I just want to pay my house off. That's all I want to do. I don't care if I have to pay on the insurance and taxes, or the property taxes. I just want to pay my house off. That's all I want to do. If I lose my home, it's because I didn't pay my property taxes, but I won't lose my house to a bank. And I can just start saving my money up to remodel my home instead of have to pour out a lot of money to pay on my house and everything else. I got it all planned out. It's just got to work. But I watched a video this morning on, I think it was on Instagram, where they were talking about smart cities. And I thought, you know what, we need to stop that. Yes, I have mortgage insurance. Well, it's not really so much mortgage insurance. It's, well, when I refinanced, there was a company trying to get a hold of me. And I never did get a hold of him. because I didn't think I was going to lose my job, that wanted me to do a mortgage insurance in case I lost my job or died. It would pay for the house. Well, if I knew this was coming, I would have gotten a hold of them and done this. Maybe my house would have got paid off. I don't know. But sorry for my damn luck. I'm going to turn the camera around here if I can. There we go. Uh-oh, I'm in that spot. It may screw up again. I just seen it pop up, so that must have been the spot right there. That's kind of odd that would do that. So, yeah, I got my hat on that I bought through yeah, what's the name of them? Boston? East Coast. But I do have homeowners insurance, and which I don't know if that pays for somebody who loses their job or dies or whatever. So I remember when I bought a house before, they talked about how there was a thing in there to where it paid for that. I'm like, okay, so I don't know. This gimbal's getting a little heavy. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. Isn't that pretty? Looking at when this blooms out, when all the leaves are on a tree, that's just beautiful right there. But there's a lot of nice homes in this neighborhood, and it's a pretty quiet neighborhood. I mean, you hear some gunshots off in the distance, and let's see. Anyway, yeah, this house behind me right here, my wife thinks it was built in the wrong area of town. But it would probably take around $200,000 to totally remodel my house, which I don't have. So, or put it to the way I'd like to have it. My cat is freaking out at the bird singing. That's funny. All right, well, folks, I'm going to let you go. We're going to stop here because I'm back home. And thanks for joining. And until next time, I'll have to find something else to do a review on or something to film. There is a place in town here. It's a museum. And I've been wanting to go there. And I got to do it certain days at a certain time. And I'm always busy at that time. So, yeah, eventually I'll get there. So, further ado, thanks for all for coming. And if I can get this thing to move the way I want it to move, we'll catch you on the flip side.